Everybody, welcome back to the morning show. Today's date, January 14th, 2025. It is Tuesday. Title of today's show is going to be changes in the league. We got a lot to discuss as far as Caitlin Clark. We're going to go over your Rams and Vikings from last night, which was absolutely ridiculous. We had a grand old time. Before we get started, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss out on the morning show. Let's get into it. We got, like I said, we got some stuff to cover this morning. Before we get started, quick shout out to the Wrench Gang. Quick shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. I appreciate all of you. So yeah, we had an interesting night last night with the Vikings and the Rams, and I think it would be fitting to start there for numerous reasons. Like I said, we were having a grand old time. Jokes were flying. The laughs were at an all-time high. And for good reason. It wasn't at the expense of Sam Darnold. I mean, some of it was. But it wasn't at the expense of Sam Darnold. I think we were expecting a different product, a different version of the Vikings, and we did not get that. And so, unfortunately, we had to make light of the situation. But without a doubt, we are still going to give our just due and praise to the Rams for doing what they did on the field on both sides, offensively and defensively, going out there, balling out. Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper, Kupp, Higbee out there balling that defense. Durant balling, not Kevin. I definitely think the Rams did a hell of a job last night, and we'll go ahead and get into this one. Shout out to you, Rob. What up, man? Good morning to you. It's like, is this real? Are you really there, Jay? I'm really here, man. Shout out to you, Trent. What's going on with you? Shout out to you, Mark. Let's go. What's up, Trust? Trust in the house. I see you. So let's go ahead and get into this one here. As like I said, we had a crazy night. But let's go ahead and break it down. So the Rams win 27-9 against the Vikings. And what do we take from this, right? What do we take from what happened? Well, I had made a video in regards to Sam Darnold and these Vikings a couple weeks back. And I was talking about in regards to, going into the game with the Lions, how the defense of those Lions were going to probably shut down Justin Jefferson. And when we got to that game, that is exactly what we've seen. The Lions defense shut down Justin Jefferson and forced Sam Darnold to figure it out without him. And what we got was the deer in the headlights. What we got is the pressure folded under it. And unfortunately for Sam Darnold, he looked like a shell of himself throughout the season. And so it got me questioning, well, what the hell happened? What was the problem? Why weren't you able to play at this same intensity and at this same elite level that you've been playing throughout the season? So the saying goes, obviously, defense wins championships, but also you have to play at a different level as a quarterback in this league once you step your foot into those playoffs. And so for me, I think coming into the situation with the Rams, maybe he didn't learn anything from the Lions game. Maybe he thought it was going to be different. But if I'm the Rams, I'm looking at the tape. I'm looking at, okay, the Lions gave us the blueprint. We're going to come into this game with that same kind of pressure. We're going to stop Jefferson. We're going to lock him down, and we're going to force Darnold to get it to Hockenson. We're going to force him to get it to Addison. We're going to force them to try and run the ball. We're going to stop all that. And unfortunately for Darnold, it was a rough night for him. He had 9 sacks, and the Rams obviously walked out of Arizona and headed back home with the win. So let's get into it. Scores 27-9. Rams took it. As far as the stats, Sam Darnold, 25 of 40, 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Matt Stafford was 19 of 27 for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jones had 13 carries for 48 yards. Williams had 16 carries for 76 yards. Hockenson was 5 of 64 for 1 touchdown, and Higbee was 5 receptions on 58 yards. As for the time possession, right? We've been talking about this, right? Time possession. The Vikings had the ball longer and lost. How do you have the ball longer and lose? It was 32 minutes and 18 seconds, 27 and 42 for the Rams, 269 total yards for the Vikings, 292 for the Rams, 2 turnovers as well. You're not going to win the playoffs if you're having turnovers. The Vikings also had 20 first downs to the 16 of the Rams. So, you would think that the Vikings had a better opportunity than the Rams did. Unfortunately, they did not. And it was the defense. It was the pressure. It was the making Sam Darnold feel uncomfortable in that pocket. And so, yes, when we look at the issues with Sam Darnold and we look at the problems that he's faced up until this point, the question begins to start. Well, he's up for a contract, and the talks were of $200 million. Well, what the hell is Sam worth now? Are you going to pay him $200 million for what he displayed in the last 2 games leading into the playoffs? I don't think so. So for me, I think Sam Darnold was put into a really good situation in the moment. I don't think that translates into anything solid moving forward. And I don't think that he's the man for the job for the Vikings. I think you need to look elsewhere for a quarterback to lead, this team and this talent, in a better direction, because what was displayed between the Lions, what was displayed with the Rams, it seemed like these Vikings aren't prepared and they weren't ready. And unfortunately, Sam Darnold, for me, is not the answer. You guys can let me know in the chat what you think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone else sees a different light and a different side of him. But drop it in the chat and let me know. Let me know what you guys think. So let's get back to the comments. Shout out to you, Big T. What up, man? What up? What up? Good morning. Good morning. Says Sam should put some milk on his stash and let a kitten not to let the kitten lick it off. That's a commercial. It's a cat milk food commercial. Shout out to you, Joyce. What up, though? Good to see you. Good to see you this morning. This entire game, I was thinking at how the Rams look like the Lions. We stole their playbook. We did exactly what they did. We brought that pressure on Darnold. We locked down Jefferson. Hockenson was not a threat at all. Jones was not a threat at all. Once again, we seen that Sam Darnold was one-dimensional. So then it brings to mind, it's like, okay, now we get it. Now we understand why the Vikings look so dominant. And actually, now we know why the analysts and basically everyone who was talking in the NFL didn't have the Vikings on that super high list. The conversations for most of the season have been Lions, Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, who in the NFC? The Rams coming out of nowhere, the Buccaneers, Commanders. The Vikings was on that great run, but they weren't really talked about when we came to the end of the season, and now we all know why. It has been displayed. Now we all know why. The cat is out the bag, and unfortunately, Sam Darnold is just not it. Will he be a great backup somewhere? Sure. But a starting quarterback to lead a franchise that has this much talent, he is not. He is not. Daniel Jones is what he was called last night. Daniel Jones. Let me get back into the chat. It says sacks, and more sacks for the Rams was a differential. I mean, that's 9 sacks and you've lost so many yards. So many. Was it over 100 yards lost in sacks? What? You're not going to win with that kind of production. It's just not going to happen. The curse of Danny Dimes. Joyce says Sam was not that bad. It could have been worse. Yo. Shout out to you, Joyce. That's something that a mom would say say about her son after he had a bad game in high school football. He wasn't that bad. It could have been worse. It was bad, Joyce. It was bad. And unfortunately, there's too much invested in that Vikings team and that franchise for them to perform the way they did against the Vikings. right? If it was close, we would have accepted it. If it was a 3-point loss, maybe even a touchdown loss, we would have accepted it, right? 27-20, cool. 27-23, cool. We would have, respected it. But I think at the end of the day, we can't respect that. We can't. The curse of Danny Dime says the coaches didn't make the necessary adjustments to play last night. The adjustments? No. Not adjustments during the game. The game plan wasn't right at all. The whole game plan. They didn't make the adjustments after the Lions game. So you learned nothing from this whole thing and you went into the Rams game with the same approach you went with the Lions? That's what you're telling me? It's insane. We seen the exact same game that we seen against the Lions. Shout out to you, Joy. Says, I did tell my son that in junior high. See, I rock with you, Joy. See, like I said, that's something that you tell the kid in junior high school, right? Little pee-wee football. Pop Warner. They, it wasn't that bad. We'll get them next time. Except in the NFL, we're not as forgiving, right? Especially when you've shown what you can do with this team and then you just falter in the playoffs. So now we have to put the Vikings as probably one of the worst 14-3 teams we've ever seen. How is that possible? The Rams are 10-7. Vikings are 14-3. So what kind of 14-3 is it? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. The worst 14-3 team I think I've ever seen. Ever. Maybe someone can let me know about a worse one, but there you go. There you go. Says, but way too much. Contrast the sacks taken by Darnold against Daniels throwing the ball away. Darnold saw a ghost mid-game. I'm seeing ghosts out there, coach. I'm seeing ghosts. Rob says, my lady went to work. I can finally send some money. Shout out to you, Rob. Let's go, bro. Let's go. Says, I've never seen an unk with an unk laugh until now. Trish says, Jay, I'm so happy I didn't punch my TV Sunday. I'm glad you didn't do that either. What is with y'all and breaking TVs and stuff? This is crazy. Darth says, not everyone has a personnel to copy the Lions game plan. The Rams did. They 100% did. As we keep it going. Shout out to you guys for rocking with us this morning. Make sure you hit that like, hit that thumbs up. I do appreciate the love and support. Let's keep it going. Let's go ahead and get into the next story. So it says Sam Darnold's career best season with the Vikings sputters to close as we get into this one here.
Sam Darnold, look, man, this game, it grades with a sharp pencil, and it ends with a thud for Minnesota and Darnold, who played so well all year, 14 victories. They come up short in Detroit, which means they had to go on the road, and now this performance. Troy, as this offseason looms for him and this team, how do you think these last couple of performances will impact what ultimately happens for Sam Darnold?
Big impact. Yeah, these last 2 weeks will have a big impact on his future, not only what that may look like for the Minnesota Vikings, but a big impact on what that may look like for him going to another team. Is there going to be the big payout that looked inevitable a few weeks ago? May not be quite as big as what Sam or others thought. These are the games that matter. He knows that. Every quarterback that plays in this league knows that. And when you get into these games, that's what you're judged on. And
that's my point, right? That is exactly my point. The expectations were at an all-time high for Sam Darnold. So it's very easy to say, well, he'll bounce back. He'll be okay. It'll work out. We're looking at this from you're 14. This team is 14-3. You've had a hell of a season. Now going into the playoffs, even if you lost, you have to make it respectable if you want the kind of money that quarterbacks should be getting that are on a team with a 14-3 record. The conversation for the contract talks for around $200 million. Teams were looking at giving him $200 million. Whether he stays with the Vikings, goes somewhere else, that was the number that teams would have been comfortable with if he actually showed that he could perform at this level. And so unfortunately for him, he didn't do it. He wasn't able to. But let's go ahead and get into the story. So Sam Darnold's dream season crashed during the past 2 weeks. It happened so quickly that Darnold seemed unwilling to process its implications in the moments after the Minnesota Vikings 27-9 wild card round loss to the Los Angeles Rams on Monday night. Obviously, Darnold said at the end of the day, all that matters when you have a good season is what you do in the playoffs. We didn't get it done today, and that's all that matters. I agree. Darnold appeared to have resurrected his career after signing a 1-year contract with the Vikings and leading them to 14 wins while throwing for a career-high 4,319 yards and 35 touchdowns. Following the Vikings' Week 17 victory over the visiting Green Bay Packers, teammates hoisted him on their shoulders in symbolic celebration of his campaign. Now, let's stop there because we've seen exactly what happened to the Packers. So we understand now why the Vikings beat the Packers. The Packers weren't ready either. So you have, once again, a better situation because you've got a little bit more talent going up against the Packers and a little bit of a better defense. And obviously you get the win, but you get praise for it. Maybe the praise was not needed at that time. Maybe there was still work to do. As the famous Kobe Bryant would say, may he rest in peace, job not done. Why are we celebrating when we haven't even got to the damn playoffs because we beat the Packers? You got to be kidding me. Let's keep it going. Says since that moment, however, Darnold regressed to some of the levels that cost him his jobs with the New York Jets in 2020 and the Panthers in 2022 in losses over the past 8 days to the Rams and the Detroit Lions. He threw a combined 23 off-target throws, according to ESPN research, and took a total of 11 sacks, including 9 on Monday night. Wow. Where he once seemed on track for the Vikings to resign him or at least use their franchise tag to retain him for 2025, Darnold now leads towards free agency with his future as unsettled as ever. We don't got to keep going about this. You see it. This was absolutely one of the worst case scenarios. And for someone who's got so much on the line, so much promise and so much future, you could have been the franchise for this team. You could have went to another team, been a starting quarterback, getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars, and now you've essentially let your future go in the hands of the Rams because you couldn't play at your best. It's sad. Let me get back to the chat before we move on to the next story. As DJ Jeans says, through the ketchup bottle at the TV. What's going on? So Trek says 9 sacks and Jefferson mostly locked up. He did take some sacks that he shouldn't have, but they had the perfect game plan to shut him down. Without a doubt. Listen, we're not going to let the offensive line off the hook either. The offensive line was absolutely abysmal. There was basically no time to make any kind of decisions. There was basically no time to get anything going. I seen Sam Darnold throw so many times so quick on those screenplays that Aaron Jones could not catch the ball. It was literally thrown so fast and so low to the ground that Aaron Jones became frustrated through the game because he couldn't even get a yard or two off those screenplays. So, you got to look at the offensive line as well. And that's something that the Vikings are going to have to look at in the offseason now because they're not moving on. We need to work on this offensive line. If we're going to give our quarterback some time to make plays and go through his progressions to get anything going, because it was absolutely terrible. And as much as I'm putting it on Sam Darnold, yes, that offensive line definitely has to take some blame as well. And I think we got to look at the coaching because they didn't make enough adjustments coming into this game to disrupt the ideology of what a game would be against the Rams, considering the Rams stole the complete playbook out of the Lions' hands. So there you go. I'm getting a little hype just because it was frustrating what the kind of product we got last night, but we're going to move on from it before I take off my jacket, before I get too hot. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Let's keep it going. Matt F says, Sam said, I see dead people. It's crazy. Shout out to you, Trent. Let's go. Good morning to you. I am so happy at least I made the playoffs. Listen, playoffs have been fun. They've been fun for sure. We've seen a lot of good football. We've seen a lot of bad football. But it's fun. It's fun. We got the divisionals coming next week. Obviously, we will be streaming that. It's going to be a good time. So make sure you guys are here for that as well as we head into the Super Bowl. We'll do predictions for the divisional round tomorrow. Divisions, because we got a lot of stuff to cover today. We'll get into the divisional predictions tomorrow, as I'm still waiting for all the odds and everything to be updated, and injury reports and all that kind of stuff. So we'll get into the divisional round playoffs tomorrow. But the next story that we need to get into, ladies and gentlemen, Caitlin Clark is back in the news for an unsettling reason. As we get into this one, Texas man arrested, charged with stalking Fever's Caitlin Clark, says a 55-year-old Texas man was arrested on a felony stalking charge in Indianapolis on Sunday after he allegedly repeatedly sent threats and violent messages to Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark via social media, according to court documents. Police records show that Michael Lewis of Denton, Texas, was charged with a level 5 felony after he was arrested at a hotel in Indianapolis. He is scheduled to appear in court Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lewis could face up to 6 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears said the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department first spoke to Lewis on Wednesday about his alleged messages to Clark on X, formerly known as Twitter, from December 16th through January 2nd. It's almost a month. Let's slow down there. This is insane. We talk a lot about things in the world and people, having mental problems and issues. Why is, these messages should have definitely been a red flag in December before it even got to this point. But let's keep it going. In quote, it says, been driving around your house 3 times a day, Lewis messaged Clark, according to the court documents. But don't call the law just yet. The public is allowed to drive by Gainbridge, a.k.a. Caitlin's field house. Y'all, this is psycho. Been driving around your house 3 times a day, but don't call the law just yet? What's going on, y'all? We've heard countless stories and throughout these years and decades of celebrities and actresses and singers having stalkers, and even on the male side, actors, singer artists. We've seen it. But this one's kind of crazy. Right? It starts on social media, then it ends up to this guy is now popping up around Caitlin's house, and this is something serious, right? So let's keep it going. They said I was sending threatening texts, but only through on my mind was Caitlin. Caitlin read another. Other messages were violent, according to court documents. The 22-year-old Clark, the WNBA Rookie of the Year, told police she feared for her safety even before Lewis arrived in Indianapolis, and had even altered her appearance in public. She also told police that she never responded to any of Lewis' messages or posts. So you sat in this woman's DMs and just kept messenger, no response. This went on for a month. How sick do you have to be to where you keep sending messages and you're not getting responded to? There's billions of people on this planet, and you sit in one inbox that's not responding to you. Y'all, we got a real mental health crisis out here. There are billions of people on this planet, and you sit in one female's inbox who's not responding to you. The post actually caused Caitlin Clark to feel terrorized, frightened, and intimidated or threatened. An implicit or explicit threat also was made with the intent to place Caitlin Clark in reasonable fear of battery. Prosecutors wrote in the Marion County Superior Court filing, Mir said the FBI tracked the IP addresses of Lewis recently sent messages to a hotel in downtown Indianapolis, as well as the Indianapolis Public Library. You went to the library? This is getting worse as it goes on. You went to the library? Indianapolis police then made a welfare check on Lewis, according to court documents, and he told officers that he was in an imaginary relationship with Clark and that he came to Indianapolis on a vacation. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. Put him away. He needs psychiatric evaluation. Lock him up. This is absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason why there's people out here acting like this in this society. You want to bother, a sports figure or any woman for that matter at this kind of level, lock him up and get him under psychiatric evaluation, because this is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. No woman should be in fear of their safety or life and be harassed at any level. And up to this magnitude, I'm actually glad that, they were able to handle this in a fast manner before it became something else. And it brings to the question as far as, if it wasn't Caitlyn, how would this have turned out? Right? If this was any other, regular woman in the world, how would this situation have turned out? It may have been a lot worse. And I think that's something that is really unfortunate, because Caitlin Clark has a name. So, the authorities were going to act fast on it. But it's a scary situation for women, and I get it. I get it. This is definitely some scary stuff here. And at the end of the day, no one should be in this kind of situation. No one should, feel harassed and scared to just be able to walk around, whether you're a celebrity or not. So there you go. There you go. Let me get back to the comments. Says he was only arrested because Clark is a popular celebrity. If anyone stalked us, nobody would care. I mean, I said it before you made the comment, or before I read the comment. If it was a regular woman out here in these streets, it probably would have went a little different. And it's sad. It's sad. We definitely need, people to be held accountable, no matter who it is, celebrity or not. Everyone deserves to feel safe in this world and, not be harassed. Says, Jamie says the fact that he knew where she lived. And see, that's another thing, right? Because we get into individuals having so much public information and so much knowledge as far as, players, athletes, entertainers, and, all the information as far as where they live. And, a lot of that stuff's readily available right online, right? Caitlin Clark's house. You got somebody talking about where she lives and, how much the house cost and, her businesses and what she's involved in and where she's going to be at 5:00 on a Sunday. It's sad. It's sad. So, I kind of get how, celebrities feel and when they talk about, things like that and, having to have security and pay for it. And people wonder why. This is why. This is exactly why. You see what happened with the CEO situation, right? It's not hard to get caught up out here. It's not hard to get caught up out here. You seen what happened to that CEO, and it's wild. It's really wild. But shout out to the authorities for getting on top of it for sure. For sure. Any stalker is sick. I agree. Says that don't call the law just yet seems to show a bit of self-awareness that a person with mental illness actually doesn't have. So that's the other side of it, right? Because if you're thinking about it from that angle, is it not mental illness? Are you just sick? Right? We talk about different spectrums and people who, have issues and problems and may be mentally ill or may just be, complete psychopaths. It's something to talk about. Shout out to you, Ernie. What's going on with you, bro? What a way to start the day. Dude is a straight creeper. 100%. Dart says if the WNBA would have handled the bullying, this may not have happened as well. We didn't know how much blame to place on the very public bullying. So that's another topic, right? I made a video about that maybe 6 months ago in regards to, the bullying on Caitlin Clark. And I hate it because the conversation for some reason, and I see it time and time again, right? When Caitlin Clark and things are going and her name's being mentioned and brought up, it always turns into a race story and it gets real nasty. And it's really a shame because Caitlin Clark is an athlete. I like her. A lot of people like her. Angel Reese is an athlete. I like her. A lot of people like her. Like, I don't understand why people have decided to pit them against each other, right? We get it. There is going to be hatred by people that will never change. And at an athlete level in pro sports, we look at how Caitlin Clark has been treated in the WNBA, right? We look at the amount of attention she's brought to the game, the amount of money she's brought to the game. And so we do have to bring up these topics because they are a big topic and a big problem as far as discussions when it comes to being in this society. Now, at the end of the day, I think the problem is this. We have to look at these athletes for who they are. And some of these athletes are upset and mad because they've been in the NBA and they work their butts off and they work hard and they're not getting the accolades and the acknowledgement that someone like Caitlin Clark is. And so my thing is, well, if you want that kind of acknowledgement, if you want to have that kind of stardom and be in the limelight, well, put in the damn work. I ain't seen nobody else besides Caitlin Clark shooting from half court in the WNBA. That's what piqued my interest. If I would have seen somebody else who was shooting from half court and making threes in the WNBA, I would be talking about it right now. But for the most part, besides Juju and all them, Caitlin Clark is the one who was shooting from half court and making it and being consistent with it. So that's why she's in the position that she is. And so it's really a shame that, it comes down to situations like this and all the hate and the bullying and the craziness about it. It's sad. It's sad. I think it takes away from how great the game is. But then we can look at the history of the NBA back in the 50s and the 40s and the 60s and all that kind of stuff. And it just leads to a whole different path that we can spend hours on, and I'd rather not. But you get the point. You get the point. It's sad. Nobody should be bullied. Nobody should be put in a situation where, they have to feel uncomfortable because they have talent. Because if Caitlin Clark was garbage, nobody would be talking about her. Nobody would be bullying her. Nobody would have anything to say. But because she's got talent and she's now in a position to have a career in the WNBA, we have to deal with this. So there you go. Look at Deshaun Watson. How was he rewarded? Caitlin's talent is best for women's basketball. I agree. How would Caitlin do in the NBA? Stop it. Stop it. Come on. You guys are killing me now. Y'all are killing me. Says women in the NBA would not be able to take the physical level. We know that. That's why there's a WNBA. We know that. Favoritism is a part of life. I agree. Listen, I don't rock with LeBron James, but I understand that he's great, right? My GOAT is Michael Jordan. To me, Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. I don't think LeBron's the greatest of all time. There's some people that do, but that's their right. That's their opinion. But when it comes to, who's great and who's not, back in the day, it was the Larry Bird versus Michael Jordan conversation. Now it's the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark conversation. So as they say, history repeats itself. But why have it in a nasty way? Because that's what it always leads to, and people get a vibe off of that for some reason. It's wild. Wild to me. Caitlin Clark is giving young girls someone to look up to. I agree. DJ James says, when you become great, you get haters. Look at the Chiefs. Exactly. Joyce B says, that's the people that realize the hard work they put in. 100%. It all comes it all comes out of talent, right? Someone's getting more shine than me. I'm not putting in the work to go out there and be great. Let me get the sun on my face. I'm not putting in the work to go out there and be great. At the end of the day, that person's going to get the recognition. That person's going to be in the limelight, right? I mean, I even look at it from the level of where I'm at with this channel with you guys. I don't hate on Tom Grassi, right? People come in, oh, Tom Grassi did this, or Tom Grassi is at the NFL awards and he got the NFL Fan of the Year. That's great. That's amazing. You know what that does for me? That gives me more motivation. That don't give me more hate. That gives me more motivation. Let me go out here and get better. Let me fine tune some things and take it up a notch. That don't make me, let me get on the internet and start hating on Tom Grassi and talk about whatever. But, some people don't get that. Some people thrive off of hate. That's all they got in their hearts. And some people will eventually pass on with that hate. So there it is. Shout out to you, Jody. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Dar says, my all-time starting five, Curry, Jordan, Durant, Kemp, and Olajuwon. Ooh. You don't put Shaq in that conversation? I mean, I think I got to swap out Olajuwon with Shaq. And Durant with Kobe. Give me Kobe and Jordan. I like Kemp. I like Kemp and Curry. Some people, well, Jordan and Kobe is the same person. No, you put him in there as well. It'd be crazy. Shout out to you, Joyce B says, that's right. Grassi put that work and sacrifice in like you. 100%. Right? He put the work. This man's been doing it for 10 years. Grassi's been doing it for 10 years. How can I hate on somebody who's been putting in the work and that's been doing this for a decade and I've been doing it for 5? You put in the time and work, you'll get rewarded. I'm looking at this like, that's a great thing. I'm looking at this like, all right, I don't want to be him, right? I don't want to be him. I want to go on my own path and I want to be great in my own path. But I'm looking at him for motivation. I'm looking at him for ambition. I'm not looking down on him like he don't deserve that or he shouldn't be there. No, he put the work in. So let me put the work in so I can be great in my own lane. And that's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. So shout out to you, Jamie. Says, I can't see anyone doubting MJ. Basketball isn't the same today, much like football has changed. I agree. I want my center to make free throws. Why my center got to make free throws when he putting up 40 points? That's all I'm saying. Why my center got to make free throws if he putting up 40 points? Shout out to you, Jennifer. Good morning to you. Good morning to you as we keep it going. But let's wrap this up with Caitlin Clark. Obviously, I'm glad nothing happened to her. I'm especially glad the authorities were able to jump on this situation and take care of the suspect. And at the end of the day, like I said, nobody should live in fear. Nobody should be harassed. And for the ladies, for the women, we have a lot of ladies on the channel. If someone's in your DMs harassing you, just sitting there, commenting and you never comment, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. Send it to the proper people so that they can look into it. That way you're protected and safe before something happens. And that's how I'm going to leave it. Let's go ahead and get into the next story, y'all. Let's go and get into the next story. Before we do, make sure you hit that like, hit that thumbs up as we keep it going. Shout out to you, Jody. Morning to you, Jennifer. All right, here we go. Jerry Jones talks to Deion Sanders about the Cowboys. What? We got to get into this one.
Gigantic story of the day. Dallas has an opening at head coach. Thought it was interesting. Troy said maybe not coveted. We get that it's still Dallas and there's going to be interest. Where are they looking?
Well, it is the Cowboys, and they have spoken with, amongst other candidates, Deion Sanders. There is a mutual interest there. And I go back to about a year and a half ago when I had a former general manager say to me, watch Deion Sanders. There's a real possibility he may be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Well, there is mutual interest. We'll see if that amps up. But the two sides have talked. They have touched base. And we'll see if it goes anywhere. Meanwhile, Mike McCarthy is scheduled to interview this week with the Chicago Bears at some point. They can't schedule it yet due to rules, but he can talk to them as soon as Wednesday, and he will be talking with the Bears.
I think
So there you go, y'all. It's about to get interesting. Deion Sanders, right, has definitely made a name for himself with Colorado. And it, I definitely think it makes sense. I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of situation here that, Deion would want to coach with his son. Now, with Dak being involved, I just don't see that happening with the Cowboys. So these conversations and talks could just be fluffer. But Mike McCarthy is moving on. He's done. And I don't like that because Jerry Jones played a game and he made it so that McCarthy wouldn't be able to interview, and the negotiations went sour, and then McCarthy got fired, and now he's a free agent. Jerry Jones, that's some trash. That's some trash. We don't like that. I feel like you play games. How do you pay Dak $60 million, but then when it comes to negotiations with Mike McCarthy, you don't want to pay the man? I got a problem with that. And it seems like Jerry Jones has been in a negative light because of his own decision making, and not even because of opinions out there, due to his actions at this point. But let's get into this one. It says the Dallas Cowboys are in the early stages of their search to replace Mike McCarthy as head coach. But one name is already known: former Cowboys cornerback and current Colorado coach Deion Sanders. A source said Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones and Sanders spoke Monday, and while an interview has not been scheduled, the two are expected to continue their dialogue. Fox Sports first reported the conversation between the two sides. Sanders was linked to a Cowboys job that was not even open in the fall. To hear from Jerry Jones is truly delightful, and it's intriguing, end quote. Sanders told ESPN's Adam Schefter on Monday night, "I love Jerry and I believe in Jerry. After you hang up and process it and think about it, it's intriguing. But I love Boulder and everything there is about our team, the coaches, our student body, and the community." So, this could be something where obviously Deion has to figure out the schematics of it, right? The situation with the Suns, the situation, what's going on as far as with Colorado. There's a lot going on there, right? Where is it most beneficial and where is it going to make the most sense? We know that Mike McCarthy's out. Deion being in the conversation does make things interesting for the Cowboys. He's not going to be the coach to take any kind of garbage. And I think that's what, the Cowboys are going to need moving forward, especially with this talent. And I do think that someone like Deion coming into that Cowboys locker room will shake things up and completely change that culture, because Deion's not going for it. We see how he got them boys doing things in Colorado. We see how he got them doing things in Colorado. So I definitely do think if he goes to the Cowboys, the league will be on notice, because this will be a different team. This will be a different team. But let's get into it. So Sanders just completed his second season at Colorado, where he posted a 13-12 record, including a 9-4 mark in 2024, during which the Buffaloes had the Heisman Trophy winner and wide receiver cornerback Travis Hunter. In November, Sanders was asked about potential interest from NFL teams. "I'm happy where I am, man," Sanders said. "I've got a kickstand down. You know what a kickstand is? That means I'm resting, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm excited. I'm enthusiastic about where I am. I love it here, I truly do." Sanders received a 5-year, $29.5 million contract when he was hired at Colorado in late 22 after his successful run at Jackson State. So there you go. Is it something that I think is going to happen? I'm on the borderline. Like I said, I think the number has to be really good. Right, he's already got the $29.5 million contract with Colorado. How much money is going to overweigh the stress, right? How much money is going to overweigh the commitment and the issues to get the Cowboys back in order? How much money is going to overweigh the attitudes and the diva antics that you're going to have to deal with certain players on that Cowboys team? So I definitely think if I'm Deion Sanders, I'm weighing all these odds. And do you want to work under Jerry Jones? I'm sure it was good as far as the conversation and the quote that he put out there. You want to save face. You want to, hey, I love Jerry Jones, gave me an opportunity. You want to leave that space out there for negotiations. But in the back of your mind, for me, I'm thinking like, do I want to deal with Jerry Jones? Do I want to deal with this franchise and this organization? And is it going to be a situation where I come in there and Jerry Jones is still running the show? Or is he going to take a sidestep and let me run it the way that it needs to be ran? I think that's the conversation that Deion is having in his own mind right now. And when it comes to making a decision, I think it's going to be a long thought process before he just jumps into it. we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you guys updated. Drop it in the chat. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll talk about it. Shout out to you, Rob Jackson. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the $5 donation. As we keep it going, I appreciate you. Thank you for the $5. So let me hop back in the chat here. Robert says, hey, Jay, left some comments, but I do have to say when Andy Reid gets an extra week to prepare for a divisional playoff game, the other team better be ready. Now Texans can play defense. They better. We're going to get into our divisional playoff predictions tomorrow. So make sure you guys are here for it tomorrow morning. We'll get into that during the morning show. Shout out to you, Robert. We got a lot to talk about there too. We're not done here yet as well. Tyrone says Jerry Jones is too hands-on to let anyone coach. He'd be setting him up for failure. That's why I said exactly what I said. And, for me, it's one of those situations where if I'm Deion, I'm looking at this like, listen, you going to pay me this amount of money? You going to let me run this thing how I want to run it? And you got to take a back seat. I don't want to see you all in the media talking about what's going on, and I don't want to see you talking about team morale. You could run things as the owner and GM, but I need you to take a back seat. I'm going to need you to let me handle this so I can get things on track, and you just sit up in that press box and watch like an owner should, or that VIP box, owner's box, and up there like you should. I think that's the only way that Deion will take it, to be honest. So shout out to you, Robert. Jamie says Jerry gives me the ick. Says, why would he bring it up in this moment? By the way, I've been saying it's probably prime ever since I saw him and his son on the sideline and seeing Dak and Shador tossing the ball at the airport just a lot. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it would be great if it happens, Jody. I do. I definitely think it would be great if it happens, but there has to be a lot of changes from the front office when it comes to the Cowboys and how this team is managed before I think anybody takes this job at a serious level, without a doubt. They could bring in anybody that, Jerry Jones is able to railroad and just, tell them what to do. But I think it's going to take a strong coach to actually, get into that situation with the Cowboys franchise and lead that team to what they once were. Someone like Deion could do it. But like I said, I think there's going to have to be massive changes before it happens. So, Mr. Kojak says some of these Colorado games were pretty ugly. Is this just a PR splash? Could be. It could be. But, college is college, and the NFL is the NFL. He does got a championship under his belt as well. So, we got to pay attention to that. Says, don't want to deal with Jerry. I agree. Tyrone says, you can rely on the old man's money. She's a rich girl, and you don't do. Yeah, I remember that was a good joint. Says that don't bother Deion. Come on, look at all the cameras and media has been dealing with. All right. Matt F's Prime said, show me the money. Yeah, he's going to have to pay him for sure. Says we know Jerry's not taking a back seat. It's unfortunate. Dak to the Browns for second pick. Listen, there were some conversations about that, right? There were some conversations about that. It's all speculation right now. We got to see if he actually gets the job, and then we can make that conversation. Let's see who becomes the coach first before we get into trading Dak, because there's too much money involved. I don't think that's going to happen. Since Tyreek Hill said, time for me to go, coach, maybe he'll be coaching for Dallas next season. Maybe the wide receiver coach. Rodney says, go have a Coke and a smile, stay in your box, and shh, Jerry, be quiet. Be quiet. Please don't send him to Ohio. We don't want him here. They don't want Dak in Ohio. They don't want Dak on that Browns team. They said, we don't want Deshaun either. We just need somebody else. We need a breath of fresh air. Shout out to you guys. Make sure you hit that like, that thumbs up as we keep it going. It's been a very interesting morning for sure with these stories. Last but not least, Mike Vrabel. You want to talk about owners of teams and playing games and the veil being placed over the fans and being in the shadows of nonsense that, of things that we know were going to happen. We knew that Mike Vrabel was going to be hired. It was shown to us probably before we should have known about it. We just didn't like how it was handled. We respect the decision. We don't like how it was handled. But let's go ahead and get into it.
Excited to get to work, excited to meet the people in this building that have made this place special. Find out what they need, find out how I can help them do their job better, how we can enhance the stuff that we do well, and then find out what the areas of focus are and get to work. I want to galvanize our football team. I want to galvanize this building. I want to galvanize our fans. And the most important thing are the players. There's some of them right here. I want to provide a program that provides their ownership, but also their accountability of each other, and one that they'll be proud to be a part of, and that they're going to.
So there you go. Mike Vrabel. It's very, very simple as far as the conversation here, right? We know that Gerard Mayo did not have the performance that a franchise like the Patriots wanted to see on paper. We get it. Totally get it. We also know that Gerard Mayo didn't do some of the things that the Patriots organization and the fans didn't like. Now, the conversation is going to boil down to, well, he wasn't experienced enough and that's why he's gone. Cool. My thing is this. Why bring him on in the first place? Don't bring him on. Find someone else that's already in the organization to be the interim head coach, and then you bring on Mike Vrabel when it's time. Because we knew this was coming. We knew it was coming, and we're fine with it. We get it. Gerard Mayo was not going to last with the Patriots. It was too much for him. Rookie quarterback, terrible team, $100 million in cap space. Someone needed to come in that knew what to do with that. Cool, fine. What we don't like, and some people may disagree with me on this, what we don't like is the theatrics. We don't like how you fire Gerard Mayo and then you bring in two other black coaches for the interview, and then 4 days later, you say Mike Vrabel is the head coach. Get rid of the Rooney Rule. It is a slap in the face to coaches, players, and athletes, and in fact, the fans and the general public. Get rid of the Rooney Rule. Hire the individual that's best for the job. Doesn't matter the color, race, whatever. Hire the best individual for the job. Get rid of the Rooney Rule. You're playing in people's faces when you do that, when we know what's coming. It's really sad. It's like, hey, yeah, we brought these guys in for the interview, but we're bringing in Mike, just so you know. We already knew this. Well, let's get into it. It says Mike Vrabel, who was officially introduced Monday as the 16th head coach in the New England Patriots history, said quarterback Drake May was one of the top reasons the job was so appealing to him. After noting how the open dialogue with owner Robert Kraft and president Jonathan Kraft was critical, Vrabel cited the presence of May as another main reason he was convinced about coming to New England, calling him a young, dynamic quarterback. Later in an interview on ESPN's Sports Center, Vrabel elaborated on how he hopes to grow with the 22-year-old May. I think he's young, talented, willing to learn. I think there's a toughness to him. There's an amazing skill set in which to mold and to have him lead our football team and lead our offense, Vrabel said. There's arm talent. There's athleticism. Certainly, we have to be great around him, and we're going to continue to push him as much as he lets us. So right there, right? Perfect. I get it. I'm totally fine with this because I understand you have to have a seasoned and veteran head coach who knows how to work with a rookie who does have the talent that Drake May has, and to get this team going and know where to spend that money, which $100 million in cap space is a hell of a lot of money. You don't want to put that kind of money in someone who's inexperienced hands, right? So I get it. Mike Vrabel coming in makes sense. I don't have a problem with it. What I do have a problem with is the theatrics that led up to this point. Get rid of the Rooney Rule. Just get rid of it. Hire the best man for the job. That's it. Some of y'all might not agree with me. Some of y'all might want to fight about it. That's fine. We can do it. We can talk about it. Drop it in the chat. There were black coaches in the league before the Rooney Rule. That's what I'm going to lead with. So you can fight with me on it if you want to. Drop it in the chat. Let me know how you feel about it. As I hop into the chat. Says now that old Bill and Mike Vick coaching in college now might be a recruiting struggle, so leave now while you can, I guess. Interesting. Okay. This should have happened last year. I agree. I don't think he took Colorado to a championship. No, but he's got a championship under his belt. There's some homework for you. DJ Jean says Aaron Rodgers is auditioning for the Sunnydale retirement home team. The Aaron Rodgers is not the Sunnydale retirement home. That's crazy. Dak should be traded to a female football league. Wow, that's wild. Man looking like New England is returning to another Dallas and completely uncool how they went about it. Jody says, thank you. Please, it is only bringing more divide. That's my point. That's my point. And for the people who actually know and pay attention to these kind of situations, like I said, it's a slap in the face. It's a slap in the face. So just get rid of it. Like I said, hire the best man for the job, regardless of who they are. If they're great, they're great. Hell, Tomlin could have went over to the Patriots. I'm sure if Tomlin was available before Vrabel he might have been picked up, right? So, get rid of that Rooney Rule and just leave it out. Because when you make decisions like this and people know what's going on, when something like this should have been behind closed doors, it's a slap in the face. So there you go. Shout out to you, Shante. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. It says Mike best play was giving Henry the ball. Let's go. Shout out to you guys. Mediocrity is the best. I said, ooh, you crazy. Listen, y'all know we gonna deep dive into it. Y'all know that. We're gonna deep dive into it, without a doubt. Last but not least, y'all, we got one more. One more before we wrap it up. Let's see here. Oh, this is an update to the Caitlin Clark story. The man who stalked Caitlin Clark is being held on $50,000 bail. He pleaded not guilty. Wow. Okay. Says you have the right to remain silent and expect you to exercise it on me. Judge Angela Davis said when Lewis 55 continued, she told him to stop talking. Davis entered a not guilty plea on Lewis's behalf, stating that she wouldn't accept the guilty plea at an initial hearing. She assigned public defender Gavin Ulicht to Lewis's case. Lewis was ordered held on $50,000 bail, and Davis ordered him to stay away from the Indianapolis basketball arenas, Cambridge Fieldhouse, and Hinkle Fieldhouse. Why is the judge helping him? Oh. We're going to leave it alone. We'll get into that one tomorrow. Shout out to you, Robert. Let's get back to this one. We'll recap on the Caitlin Clark situation tomorrow. There'll be more for that. Broncos Bo Nix says he played through back fractures this season. Now, listen, what we not going to do is take a loss in the playoffs after we were hyped up to go in Buffalo and win, and then sit here and say, well, I was injured. That's why I lost. I was going through some injuries. Don't be trying to save face. Take the win or take the loss. Take the loss for what it is. Learn from it and move on as we get into this one. Oh, they showing play. We can't show that. My bad, y'all. We just going to get into the story. Denver Broncos quarterback Bo Nix revealed Monday he played part of his rookie season with transverse process fractures in his back. Nix speaking to reporters Monday as players were cleaning out their lockers after Broncos 31-7 wildcard playoff loss to the Buffalo Bills on Sunday, said he sustained the injury in the first half of November 24th game against the Las Vegas Raiders. The transverse process is a small bone that sticks out from either side of the vertebrae. Yes, I got twisted up a little bit, had 3 process fractures. A lot of guys play with a lot of those kind of things, Nix said. Nix passed for 2 second-half touchdowns in that game against the Raiders in a 29-19 Broncos win. Looks like the injury didn't bother you. You got the win, right? He said he received treatment the next week as the Broncos prepared to play the Cleveland Browns in a home Monday night game, which fortunately for Knicks and Denver was followed by the team's bye. I wasn't going to miss the first Monday night game. I got treatment on it, and then we were fortunate to have an off week that next week. It kind of went away after that. It was annoying, but we all play with the annoying elements, he said. Knicks passed for 294 yards with a touchdown and 2 interceptions in a 41-32 victory over the Browns. You won again with the injury. His touchdown was a 93-yard scoring pass to Marvin Mims Jr. in the third quarter. Knicks, the 6th quarterback selected in the first round of the 2024 draft, didn't set out a game this season and finished with the Broncos rookie record, 3,775 passing yards and 29 touchdown passes. He helped Denver reach the postseason for the first time since 2015. I mean, where the doctors at, right? The man played all season with an injury. I mean, according to the Broncos, they won at Buffalo, right? That's what I heard. We want Buffalo. We want Buffalo. It was chants. It was battle cries. And then they got to Buffalo. And they got exactly what they wanted. You wanted Buffalo, you got Buffalo. You know who gonna get Buffalo next? Them Ravens. There was a reporter who recently was talking, Jim Harbaugh. They was talking about Buffalo. Y'all go ahead and keep talking about Buffalo. Y'all gonna get what you want. I mean, I guess this story's brought up because, you know, the situation obviously with Bo Nix having an injury moving forward, so we'll see how that plays out. But I think at the end of the day, you're not going to cop out. You're not going to use this as an excuse. You won with this injury, and you lost with this injury. So take the off season to go ahead and relax and heal up. We'll see you next season. So there you go. I mean, he did take sacks in one of those games. I'm not surprised. As Trek says, that's like Kelsey saying he wasn't scared of the Bengals. Right? Yeah. That's just like Kelsey saying, oh, we wasn't scared of them Bengals after the Bengals was out. I'll be talking when he gone. Smokey for front. I'll be talking when he gone. Darius has called us losers. Feed our drive. Listen, I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't trying to get y'all riled up this morning. The reporter was talking to Jim Harbaugh, and they called Buffalo losers. I'm like, oh, y'all want to fuel the flame. Y'all want to see the Ravens come to Highmark and get knocked off. Talking like that. We've been trying to keep good sportsmanship. You don't see Bills Mafia saying stuff like that when they have conversations with the press. You don't see that. But y'all wanted to say Buffalo was trash, huh? Okay. Well, we gonna see. We gonna see who trash come next week at Highmark Stadium. Shout out to you, Tyrone. Jody says, yeah, but how many players this season played through injuries that were known all season? Like, come on now. That's my point. And listen, I'm going to give this to you as easy as I can. If you got a significant injury, sit out. Because we don't want no excuses. We don't want this excuse at the end of the season. We should have knew this before the playoff game. Don't drop this story after the playoffs. We want to hear this before the playoffs. I want to say, well, you know what? Bo Nix came into the playoffs with an injury, and so he wasn't able to give it his all and play his best, and that's why the Broncos didn't, they weren't successful in the game and lost to the Bills. I don't want to, a few days after y'all lost, well, after the playoffs, Bo Nix told us that he's been dealing with an injury all season, even though they won. What kind of garbage is this? Ain't no cop-outs. We're not dealing with that. Guess what? Josh Allen got an injury too. He dealing with a wrist injury that he's been playing through. You don't see him complaining about it. I don't see no other articles about that where he talking about the wrist injury and all. Oh, y'all stop with the excuses. Stop with the excuses. When he leaves, I'll be talking again. When he leaves, I'll be talking again. Shout out to you, Joyce, as I'm with the Mafia. Bless your heart, Lamar. Listen, I got respect for the Ravens. I got nothing but love for the Ravens fans. We rock with all 32 teams here, so we got fans of all different teams on the channel. The Ravens are special for sure. I like what they're doing. I said Derrick Henry would be, the X factor for this Ravens team. We'll get into the predictions tomorrow during the morning show. And, like I said, I just think at the end of the day, the reality is this. When you look at the opportunities for this Ravens team, you look at the opportunities for the Bills, the question is going to be who wants it more? Who wants it more? And when you step into Highmark Stadium, you're dealing with that 12th man. You're dealing with, Josh Allen, small town farm boy who turned into a superstar, who's been overlooked and I think is underrated. And we just going to see who shows up. I ain't throwing no shade at the Ravens. I'm going to say y'all going to get blown out. But I ain't going to throw no shade at y'all. Says they're supposed to report injuries. I agree. Right? Does somebody need to get fined? Jennifer says, give us the billboard material, Ravens. Make us angry and see what happens. That's what I'm saying. Shout out to you, Jennifer. Did you see the Eagles fan yelling at the Packers fan lady? All right, you know what? We'll get into this one before we get up out of here. We'll get into this one. Now, we had talked about the Minnesota Vikings wife story. That was a topic, what was it, last week? During the Lions game? We were talking about that? That was a big issue. I had people on that video saying how it didn't happen, y'all. They were saying how it didn't happen. Hold on one second. Let me find this story. Let's see here. New York Post. All right, one second. Let me pull this up. All right. So if you didn't know, there was an Eagles fan that was verbally abusing a Packers fan during the Eagles and Packers game. Let's go ahead and get into this one.
After reviewing the play, the runner was short of the goal line.
Look at this. And y'all want to tell me this kind of stuff ain't happening. Look at this, clapping in her ear, talking in her ear. She's minding her business. She ain't saying nothing back. As he tells this dude to turn around and watch the game. So, when we hear about these kind of situations and we talk about these kind of videos and things like that, oh, it's fake. It didn't happen. We need to see video proof. Now, guess what? We got the video proof. Someone else is going to justify this behavior. Someone else is going to, oh, they're just talking. It's just football. Listen, there's a difference between it being we just going back and forth and having a good time, and you being a complete damn idiot and you saying some of the most obscene BS that we hear. And so once again, right, I get it. It's a game. People are drinking. They're having a good time for the most part. These things happen. But we can't sit here and act like they don't happen when we know that they do. It's ridiculous to do it as we get into this story. Says things aren't looking good for the Eagles fan who went viral for all the wrong reasons during their playoff clash with the Packers on Sunday. And a male Philadelphia fan was captured on video heckling a female Packers fan and repeatedly called her a dumb, while her fiance, Alexander Basara, filmed the entire altercation in the stands at Lincoln Financial Field. Now it seems the Eagles fans' employer is involved after the woman's fiance posted the footage on X and called on his social media community to help identify the man. Obviously, you get a clear shot of the man's face. And then it goes on to say BCT Partners, a DEI-focused management. Yo, you see what they do? You see it. A DEI-focused management consulting firm based in East Brunswick, New Jersey, that aims to harness the power of diversity, insights, and innovation to transform lives, accelerate equity, and creating lasting change, according to his website, released a statement on Monday and said it opened an internal investigation into the matter. According to internet sleuths, the fan is a project manager with the company. The management at BCT Partners has been made aware of a video circulating involving an employee making offensive remarks outside the workplace. The company said, without naming the employee, BCT Partners announces this type of behavior, and we take this matter extremely serious as an organization that has always stood for inclusivity. The conduct displayed was completely unacceptable and stands in direct opposition to our company values. Let's stop it here for a minute. Now, listen, I don't believe in the whole DEI thing. I'm just telling y'all now, right? I believe everyone has a fair shot. You work hard, you make money, you do what you do. Everyone has a fair shot in America. All right. DEI is a whole nother topic. I don't believe in it. Whether you do or don't, that's totally fine, but I don't. But with that said, now this company is deciding to investigate the situation, and let's keep it going. It says, we have already begun a full investigation as an internal personal matter to determine what actions will be taken. We sincerely apologize to everyone affected by this behavior, remain committed to fostering a culture of respect for all. His LinkedIn page no longer exists, and his social media accounts have been deleted. So my thing now is, why you scared? This is the problem that I have. Everything I say, I stand on it. Every take that I've made, I stand on it. The ones that was right, the ones that was wrong. Everything stands. Why you said what you said and then you ran and deleted your social media? You don't like the response? You wasn't prepared for the response? Don't act up in public if you're not ready for the consequences. And this is the problem. Now someone's going to come cape for him and say, well, he shouldn't lose his job for the way he was acting. It was a football game. People talk garbage all the time. Listen, the reality is this. We know there's a difference of how people should act out in public at a sporting event and how they shouldn't. We know what good back and forth is. We know what bad back and forth is. But to sit there and call someone's wife a dumb C word, now you've crossed the threshold. Now you've crossed the realm. And now at this point, me personally, I'm going to just knock you the hell out. I'm not going to be standing there with the phone recording for social media. I don't need the views. I'm going to be the one on camera knocking your ass out at this point. So I get, the husband recording it, I guess I get it. But me personally, I'm going to be on the camera, not the guy. So there you go. There you go. This story, a little ridiculous. Like I said, I don't believe in the DEI situation, but we'll just have to see how the company addresses it, but we'll get back to it. Says the Eagles organization is aware of the situation and will take action against the heckler. Big Dom has identified the guy and woman involved in this incident. Derek Gunn and Eagles podcaster reported, referring to Dom DeSandro, the senior advisor to the general manager, chief security officer, game day coaching operations for the Eagles. You don't need that many damn titles. Just say you're the chief security officer. The guy will be banned from future Eagles games. The Eagles will be sending the woman Packers gear as an apology. Eagles once again showing what a class organization they are. I mean, that's good. That's good. So we know that, the Eagles will take care of her and show her that the Eagles franchise doesn't play these kind of games, and will show some class. Basar shared the video and explained that the man's heckling was unprovoked while they were simply cheering for Green Bay. Don't call her a dumb. Basara told the man, who doubled down on his insights. Says the woman wasn't fazed. So kudos to her. Kudos to her for not letting her get bothered by it. Seems like she's kind of, got a tough spirit, tough cookie. And so good job. Good job. And then whatever else happens to this guy, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Tactical says he was speaking exactly like how he speaks at home. Right? If you cool with it out in public, you definitely cool with it in private. Shout out to you, Legend. What up, man? What's going on with you? Jody says, all season the Eagles been messy with each other, the coaches, the fans. There's never any discipline. There's a difference between physical hard-nosed ball and bully ball, and these fans show it too. And shout out to you, Mr. Kojak. FAFO, without a doubt. Shout out to you, Jonas. Acting like they were winning by 30 points. A black guy will heal. Being fired and humiliated lasts forever. I mean, you can get another job, but you gonna remember this whooping I put on you. You can get fired and go get another job, but you ain't gonna ever forget this whooping I put on you. Jonas says, I hate the Sheagles. Hope the Rams and Washington are in the NFC Championship game. Houston versus Bills, AFC Championship game. All right, okay. Jody says, damn, now I got to cheer for the stupid Lions to beat the Eagles. Matt F says she needs to leave her boyfriend. I mean, I think he did say some words. We could see, this guy going back and forth, with the fiance, not boyfriend, fiance, right? Going back and forth with the fiance, or back and forth with her fiance. So, I think he is sticking up for her. He's saying some things. Everybody's not going to handle a situation with violence or, with much aggression. Some of us weren't raised that way. Some of us will be a little bit more, passive. And, he was sticking up for her, though. He was sticking up for her. I'll give him that. He was saying some things. Me, like I said, I don't do a lot of talking when it comes to situations like this. I'm very alert. I'm very attentive. I'm always listening, watching. So when I'm out and a situation pops off, I'm not doing a lot of talking, right? So you're not going to have the opportunity to be spewing nonsense at my woman, let alone me, because I'm not going to allow a lot of words to be said, and I'm not going to say a lot of words. It's not going to be a pushing and shoving match. I'm going to just try my best to knock you the hell out in one punch. That's it. So everyone's not going to respond that way. And everyone probably shouldn't respond that way. I'm not saying that people should be violent. I'm just telling you how I am, and primarily why I don't like being around in big events, because of I don't like dealing with crazy people. So I don't advocate for violence. I'm just saying this is, what I would do being in this situation. And that's why I don't deal with big situations like that, because I know how people act, and I know what will provoke me to be, how I'll be provoked in a certain situation, and I don't want to deal with that. Jennifer says our experience does not make a rule. Correlation is not causation. Shout out to you, Jennifer. Says if I were that woman, he would have had both, no job and a black eye. Shout out to you, Jamie. DJ James says, Jay, you'd have to fight 50 Eagles fans. I don't give a damn. We all gonna tussle there. Best believe I'm taking 2 with me. 2 coming with me. I may be down, but they can be like, damn, look at them 2. I promise you that. I don't listen, at the end of the day, that's the reality of it. We just gonna have to get down to it because you're not disrespecting my woman, and I'm not gonna sit there. Especially, I'm not just sitting there taking it. I'm not doing it. We gonna turn up in here, y'all. we gonna turn up in here. I'm not doing it. At some point, you have to put on your pants. Let the women wear the panties. You got to put on your pants and you got to do what you got to do. All right. You can't be sitting here. I get maybe this situation didn't need level of aggression. I'm talking. I get it. But at some point you will be tested because I feel like in this situation it was mighty close, especially if you seen them together and you still decided to disrespect her on that level. Oh, now you disrespecting both of us. So I'm not about to stand here and deal with that. Hell no. So, nah, we not doing that. Malice in the Palace. we going at it. It's gonna be bottles and cans flying everywhere. And you'd have to bail out of jail. Listen, I got lawyer money, and my woman's a lawyer, so there you go. What we talking about? I got lawyer money and my woman's a lawyer. What we talking about? Shout out to you, Jonas says, so you wanted to DIE in this game. Do you not see where they're at in the 300 rows? Listen. We just gonna keep it where it is. We're gonna keep it right where it is. Says silence is golden and Sherry would handle herself just fine. Without a doubt. You should bring Jameis Winston to bless and be filled by the Spirit. Not get Jameis. Somebody get Jameis on the phone so he can bless us to, remove the violent spirit and we can move on with our day and have a happy day. Dar says being a team bigot while working for a DIE company equals an epic fail. Epic fail. Here's the problem. At the end of the day, like I said, certain people are going to handle the situations different ways. Personally, I'm not going for it. I get it, but personally, I'm not going for it. That's just me. That's just me. A lot of people allow way too much in this society nowadays, and that's why everybody feels like they can say whatever they want to say on social media. They can be a keyboard warrior. And so then that translates to them getting a little bit of alcohol in their system and then getting some liquid courage and then getting beside themselves. So I think that's a reality. Jody says, I would always drop a faithful blessing of Mr. Winston. Let's go. Shout out to you, Rob. Says we will be okay. Our green color is better anyways. Yo, y'all are hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So there it is, y'all. There it is. What a morning show. Like I said, these things, these shows are amazing. We get to, be candid. We get to have good conversations. It's always fun. It's always a good time. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe. If you didn't catch it, you guys know we'll put the clips up for you throughout the day so you can catch up. In the meantime, we'll see you tomorrow for the divisional playoff predictions. Be here for the morning show. Make sure you subscribe, click that bell, turn on your notifications. That way you don't miss a stream. And shout out to you guys. Have yourself a great, great afternoon. I appreciate you all. Have a good day. Have a good day. May Jameis bring the power of the Lord to you all.